everybody knows what the Adobe is, I believe. Everybody knows the historic value, but on the off chance that somebody's watching the recording and they don't, this is the previous home of Don Fernando Pacheco, the son of Don Salvio Pacheco, who is one of the founders of the city of Concord. And this Adobe is a historical landmark on all three registries, national, United States, and local. And it is currently vacant, and we are looking at the opportunity to become the next tenants or stewards of this property and help move it into a repair phase and revitalize the building and the property that it sits on. So we're calling this the Historic Revitalization Project, and you can see the tagline there. The purpose is to create a space that champions social equity, celebrates innovation, and cultivates pride in local ownership. And those are kind of an intangible concept, but if you think about a person with a great idea, a person who lives in Concord, a person who wants to stay in Concord and build a business or start a nonprofit or find a great job to live and work in Concord, and maybe there's something standing in their way, maybe they don't get a fair shot because of how somebody thinks they are, what demographic boxes they happen to check. Maybe they have something in the way that involves money or finances or access to a computer or access to resources. Maybe they have a language barrier. There's all these reasons that something might be in the way and they're not getting a fair shot. And that's what social equity is about. And that's what Neto Community Network is always championing and trying to support. And that's what this space is going to do to help. It seems like a passion project. And if you leave with nothing else tonight, I want you to know that it's not just a passion project to renovate this property and turn it into a fabulous community-centric space. It's not just about a public park. It's not just about appreciation of a historical landmark. It's not even just about co-working space or meeting room rentals. It's about how all of those things intersect and create a really unique space, a really unique experience that will do these things: champion social equity, celebrate innovation, and cultivate pride in local ownership. So there's some very real outcomes and some very real impact of this passion project. And so I hope that you will see that. Bear with me and let me advance my screen. All right, so this is the agenda real quick. I'll just briefly tell you about Neto's mission. We'll talk about our vision for the Adobe. Now keep in mind, this is a vision, and I'm going to talk as if it's actually happening because that's how I want to present it to you. But we don't know if it's actually going to happen. We're in a proposal phase right now. We have until January to work through some details. So I'm going to talk about it as if it's happening because, you know, that's what you do, right? With visions. So it's all based on approvals. It's all based on negotiations. It's all based on finances. But I'm going to talk as though it's happening. We're going to look at the site plan that our architect, Kirk Shelby, put together for us. And we'll have a quick look at how we want to break up the parcel. And we're going to talk about concepts for community use. And we're going to talk about strategic partnership opportunities. And at that point, I'll introduce, most of you already know, Terry Nuno, who we've brought on as our donor engagement specialist. So we've got an architect on board, we've got a project manager on board, we've got a donor engagement specialist on board. So we're cooking with gas. So this is what Neto is. I'll let you read this, but I will read the first sentence. We provide pathways for people to connect, learn, and act toward greater social and economic equity, excuse me. And so that means we provide training. Many of you are familiar with the pop-up we did for Concord CoLab. We've got different initiatives that help bring people together, especially people from diverse groups, people who might not usually come together or have a reason to come together. And we do it around a common interest, a common cause, a common effort. And by bringing people together, you know, you literally improve critical thinking, you improve how people view each other and respect each other, you change hearts and minds, right? And you help support people who need a fair shot to get what they want to get and to achieve what they want to achieve. So that's what Neto is all about. And in that vein, we have, for the last several years, been working on a number of different initiatives. Of course, COVID has put the halt to most of them. We were able to keep the initiative Rock the Concord Vote going through this period of quarantine and self-isolation and all of that. And it was a successful initiative. There are details on the website about that. But Concord CoLab was our co-working and office space initiative. TalkFest was our networking event. Unsung Heroes was our annual awards where we recognize extraordinary people doing ordinary things. And then Level the Playing Field is our fundraising arm where we help organizations learn how to fundraise and figure out what they need. So those are some of the initiatives that we've been working on, and we are always, in a mode of inquiry, in a mode of probing and looking for new initiatives that will help with the equity equation. So here's our friend, Don Fernando Pacheco. And this is why we're here. This is where we're at right now. We've made a proposal, and we've been given a 4-month exclusive period by the city's, the RCA-CS committee to really flesh out that proposal, get some more community feedback, get some more support, and fine tune our financing and revenue strategies. And if we can give a deeper, more comprehensive proposal during this time, then hopefully we can enter into negotiations for becoming the next tenants of this space for a long-term lease. But this last paragraph is an important one, and I'll read it. Our community-centric proposal includes making much-needed repairs on the Adobe to preserve its historic value, raising funds to responsibly renovate and fully landscape the 3+ acres that surround it, as well as launching business plans for its use by residents, visitors, businesses, and nonprofits. So that's sort of the heart of the proposal. And there's our website address. So here's another angle of the Adobe. So what is our vision in this space? What is it that we want to do? We want to honor the history. We want to champion our mission for everybody. We want to cultivate and nurture businesses. It's not just about a co-working space or a meeting space. It's like an incubator. It's like a place where innovative people, creative people, entrepreneurs, businesses, nonprofits can come. They can get to an accessible, affordable environment to be supported, to do their good work, to hold their meetings, to have workshops, improve their skills. And we learned a lot with our pop-up at Concord CoLab, which was sort of this mini universe of this much bigger goal that we have. And we got a lot of great feedback on what people need from a facility like this, and what people need to get their fair shot and to really do something great that will actually impact not only their lives and the quality of life, but impact the city of Concord and impact the economy in a way that where we are all supporting entrepreneurialism, we're supporting micro business, we're supporting small business, we're supporting really good work. We're supporting the arts. We're supporting all kinds of creative work. We want to provide an entire program calendar filled with unique, inclusive experiences. And we want to host diverse destination-worthy events to celebrate arts and culture. And I will say that out of the many tools that we use to help build equity by bringing people together, the arts and cultural events are a wonderful way to bring people from diverse backgrounds together, and that sort of common interest that brings people together to learn about each other in a way that they might not normally do. And so we had a great, at Concord CoLab, we tried to do that. We had a couple of art events. We had a great Dios de los Muertos event. And we had some great mixers with the chamber. And we had a couple of private parties, and it was, every experience was unique. And also at the end here, we want to be, it's one thing to have our ethics about equity, but we have other ethics as well in terms of being eco, being green, sustainable resources, renewable resources, green energy. We're going to do everything we can to be environmentally responsible with this piece of property and with this building and what happens with it. So this is an architectural rendering, and I want to draw your attention to just a couple of points. I won't go through it at great length, but I want to point out a couple of things. First of all, so this is the aerial view of the property, and it includes a few changes that we envision making. And if you look at the far right, that's Grant Street, and that's where the driveways are to go into the property. And north of that on the top, that would be the playground. South of that to the bottom, that would be residential. And then to the west on the left side, that's where the creek bed is and the bridge over to Hillcrest Park. So that's what you're looking at. And what I want to draw your attention to, first of all, is the striped line that travels around the bottom perimeter of the property. That is a 20-foot landscaping buffer that would be very important for those residents whose backyards butt up against this property, to provide a little privacy for the residents, so that things that are happening publicly in this space don't disrupt their lives. But we want it to be a place where they would enjoy coming, and not a place that would create a lot of disruption for them. So this 20-foot landscape buffer is the first idea of protecting the residents and serving the residents in the area. The adobe itself sits at the very top of the property. It's the white rectangle between the purple and yellow boxes, and I'm going to tell you what those colors mean in just a minute. It's 2,300 square feet. Most of you have been inside it, so you know it has 4 parlors, a kitchen, and a pair of bathrooms. We are looking at room for parking. We are looking at room for phase 2, which would be the potential for additional structures. But really, what we're focused on initially, and what we need to work on at the beginning in order to build revenue and create these strategic partnerships, is the north side of this property. And so if you look at the green area, which is right in front, right up against Grant Street, you'll see that the green arrow is the driveway that exists on the south side of the entrance. There's also one at the north side of that entrance. That would be a driveway that would lead back to parking. And then the north entrance, which isn't marked here, but it's there, would be for foot traffic, bicycle traffic. That's the part that is right next to the Frisbee golf course. So that would be a path that would continue around. And so we want to make this very accessible to walkers, to bicyclists. We want to make it accessible for cars because, bonus, we're right off the freeway. We're close to a BART station. There is a city bus service on weekdays, but we know that we're going to have events that will require parking. And we don't want people trying to take up residential parking on the street as that goes. So that's sort of how the flow would go as far as cars and us making an active effort to keep some safety between cars and pedestrians. That green area would be a public park setting. That is 27,600 square feet right in front of the property. And that would be landscaped to be a public park setting. And it would also be able to double as a small event space, tents and tables type of space. And so it would be open to the public. It would be free to use, enjoyable to look at, all of that. The space that is purple behind the adobe, that is where the caretaker's cottage and storage facility used to be. Those were not historic buildings. The city made the decision to tear them down because they were in really bad shape. So that land can be developed. And that's where we would put an outdoor workspace that is 14,000 square feet and change. And many co-working spaces, many facilities that offer meeting rooms and co-working have a combination of indoor and outdoor. And it has been shown in other parts of the country to be very appealing to more people to have the choice, especially here where the weather is pretty decent most of the year. And so there are ways to design that space so that it's semi-private, but still allows for the pass-through, because we know that the Frisbee golfers use a path right through that general area to get from the first part of the course to the second part of the course. And we want to make sure that people taking the path from the street up and around, you know, can still get to where they need to go on the property. So that would be an area that could be a small performance space, poetry reading, a small, you know, a small performance, something that would be semi-private and rentable, so to speak, and not completely enclosed in, but it could be made private with a pergola, or, you know, the way that the plants are set up and such. The yellow spot in the front of the Adobe, that would be also a public park setting, but it would be a little more unique and I'm sort of, for the time being, calling it a story garden. And it would be a public park, but it would have art installations and kiosks that would tell the history, tell the story of Concord, this founding of Concord, the story of the Pacheco family. And also it would include history and information about the Native American and the indigenous cultures that were here before the land grant that got Concord on the map. And so it would pay tribute to the history of this facility so that it could be a field trip destination. It could be an outdoor story garden, and it could also include native plants, and it could include some really beautiful gardening accents and outdoor art installations that would make it a really lovely place to hang out, again, to the public. So that is the synopsis of the vision on a visual basis. So these are the different ways that this space can be used. And these are things that we learned from people who used the Concord CoLab when we were in pop-up mode. And it's also what we've learned in different surveys and research that we've done. And it's also what we anticipate makes this place special. Like I was saying at the beginning, this unique intersection of a historical landmark, beautiful grounds, a public park setting, an outdoor workspace setting, this combination of indoor outdoor working and the beauty of just the outdoor space makes it a very unique location. And like I said, bonus, we're right off the freeway. So for nonprofit organizations and clubs who don't have a home office, that's what this could be. We would love to share this space in terms of an address and a place to get mail and a place to have your regular board meetings and a place to feel like you have a home and that you're not relying on the kindness of strangers who have conference rooms that you can borrow or living rooms that you can borrow to have your board meetings and such. It would be a co-working space. People could use it to sit inside and outside, to use the free Wi-Fi and get some work done for freelancers and independent contractors. It could be there will be a conference room in the back for groups. It could be a fabulous place for corporate retreats and company picnics. I mean, imagine going off campus to a place where you could go in and work, go out and get a little recreation, do a team building exercise, take a little walk, get some fresh air, sit in a beautiful setting. Team building events, training, strategy meetings. There are many companies who prefer to send their executive team off campus to do planning, quarterly and yearly planning, for example, because it's too disruptive to try and get that done actually in your own conference room, in your own office. We'll have we'll look for a full slate of different kinds of classes and workshops, whether it's art, business, all kinds of things that will appeal to a variety of people who are looking to nurture their great ideas. We had mentoring sessions for children with one organization at the CoLab, and that was really interesting that they needed a space just like that. Could be a great school field trip spot, as I said, because of the history. I think 3rd and 4th graders are learning about state and local history, and the Concord Historical Society has a curriculum for them that would include potentially a pit stop here. Social gatherings and networking mixers, art shows, small performances, community celebrations. These are all the things, these are all the ways that this space could be used and in a very creative way and become a real experience that's different from any of the other venues that we have in town. And we have a lot of wonderful venues. I'm not saying we don't, but I think there's something really unique about this space that has some really interesting potential. And so this is the last slide, and this is where we're looking for strategic partnership opportunities. So when you think about how this is going to operate in terms of money, we're going to be researching and applying for grants. That's part of what Terry is going to help us with, and Terry's going to put her email in the chat, because she's the person that you're going to contact if you have a desire to get involved in some way. There's lots of ways you can get involved, including just being in the loop and providing feedback, right up to actually becoming a partner that involves a little money and also some benefits back for that money. So there are charter, in addition to the grants that we're going to be looking for, because as we said, we want to make this affordable for people. We're also going to be looking for donations and larger corporate sponsorships. And we are also going to be building revenue. Now, on a day-to-day, month-to-month basis, we will be building revenue with fees for usage, membership fees, like a gym. Co-working spaces charge a membership fee. You charge a fee to rent a room to have a meeting, or to rent the space to have an event. So there would be charter memberships available early before this goes for all of these various kinds of individuals and organizations. There would be direct purchases, much like we did, and several of us are familiar with the committee that was pulled together to put the statue up in Todos Santos Plaza. And we sold bricks to create the patio, engraved bricks that individuals purchased, a little legacy thing for people. And the front of the Adobe, the veranda, the entire front porch is all brick. And we have a little research to make sure that's not considered part of the historic value, but we're fairly certain that we can replace that brick with an engraved brick patio. And so that's a fundraising opportunity. And of course, there will be plenty of plaques in the park setting on benches. That would be another purchase opportunity for the money that's going to take to do the renovation. The sponsored areas are opportunities for businesses to sponsor something in exchange for ongoing usage, as well as the publicity and the signage. So there could be a pergola or a gazebo that could be named for you. The whole story garden could be sponsored. There are planter boxes and art installations that could be sponsored. The conference room could be called XYZ Company Conference Room. We're going to be looking at solar panels. As I said, we were talking about eco-friendly solutions. And we're going to be looking at solar panels that could go over the parking area in a way that doesn't disrupt the integrity of the historic aesthetic. The bike racks could be sponsored. We want to really work closely with the bicyclists here in town. We want to make sure that they feel included and that their bikes are safe in a really nice area for bike racks. The fitness path, what I was telling you about, a walking path going from Grant Street all the way around the property, that could conceivably be a fitness path, not just a walking path. That could be sponsored. And then the kitchen could be sponsored. We could work with a food truck or a small home chef business, or there are ways to use the kitchen, to share the kitchen with someone who needs that kind of facility. So those are just some of the ideas for strategic partnership opportunities. And Terry's going to be the person that you would contact with, or that you might send somebody to if you had a referral. You are all stakeholders in this community. You all have circles of people. And my hope is that you will think about this, not just from your own perspective, but from the perspective of some of the colleagues in your circles.